G'day everyone, Chris Mulcahy from Future Accounting. Just thought I'd do a quick video. Just been out to the office today catching up with a farming family we've been working with for about 12 months. Around succession planning, we've gone through the process. 12 months ago, parents weren't really sure what to do, how to go about it, where to start. They were sort of a bit lost with everything. They were getting a fair bit of pressure from their children, wondering what's going on, who was getting what, this, that and the other. So they almost, that pressure was getting to them to the extent that they put in the too hard basket. We started working with them and just probably started with the basics, just working through, just getting a better understanding, assets, liabilities, farm assets, non-farm assets. From there we started digging or drilling a bit deeper into the cost base and tax information associated with each asset, particularly property, looking at who the legal owner of each property is, and which is typical with a lot of these farming scenarios. There's land owned in a lot of different names, from individuals, partnerships, to trusts and so forth. And in this situation there's also a self-managed super farm with farmland as well. So from there, it was really just a matter of getting an understanding of ultimately what they're aiming to achieve in the future. There's two of the kids that are young, well and truly young adults now, married, sort of setting their own lives up as well. Understanding where it's all heading, what the plans are for the future and so forth. So we got all that tax information together. We suggested that we need to get the land into an ownership structure that provides a bit more flexibility for the future. I think sometimes in these scenarios we try and predict the future a bit too much, which is fraught with danger, or it's also you can get yourself too caught up in trying to work out what's going to happen, and then therefore you don't do anything. So in this situation it was really just a matter of, look, let's get the asset ownership into structures that make sense for now and provide flexibility for the future. Typically that involves getting farmland out of personal names particularly, and into a family trust. So they already had one family trust with a little bit of land in it. So the question was, well, do we use that family trust, or do we have another family trust that owns land as well? So we went through that process. It made sense to have a second one, just so we had even more options and flexibility in the future with how that control of that land could be allocated. So we did that. We claimed the stamp duty exemption to get the land transferred out. We claimed the capital gains tax concessions that enabled us to get the land out of mum and dad's name into the family trust. It was quite interesting because a couple of these blocks had been owned for some of the earlier generations. So even though they assumed that the land was pre-1985 when capital gains tax came in, it sort of passed through generations, and when it's passed through estates, that can sort of freshen up the ownership from a tax perspective. So all of the land actually ended up being post-CGT. So it was just good to have that information at hand, because that would make a big difference either way. So we did all that. We get the land. Everything's in structures now that provide flexibility for the future. So that was the initial thing. The next stage, which is what we're doing today, was starting to build out the plan for the future. There had been a few discussions amongst the family. Mum and dad are feeling much better about themselves. They feel like they're actually making progress now. And they've got a bit more confidence now as well, because they feel like they have a bit more knowledge about the situation, what they're ultimately trying to achieve as well. So the next stage, what we normally try and do, is what we call a heads of agreement, that just puts in plain English what they want to have happen. And obviously from the transfer or the transition of land control, it's in trust now, so the land will remain in the trust, and the trust or the trustee will be the legal owner. So therefore now we're just transferring control. We're not transferring ownership, which is very important. We also, within this heads of agreement, we talk about things such as what the non-farming children, what their entitlement will be. We talk about aged care, putting in place a plan around aged care, off-farm assets and so forth. Probably one of the more important things that we do look at is aged care, because if mum and dad feel like they're actually giving up assets, they want to know that they've got security moving forward. Security from the point of view of obviously having enough money through to, they've obviously got a house to live in. They can live in the farmhouse for as long as they want, and then that ongoing income and payment of associated living costs and aged care are typically the big things. So everyone, I guess part of the aim is to make sure everyone feels financially secure, which can be achieved during this process. It was quite interesting with the land itself, because the block that's in the super fund, we're going to leave there for a little bit longer, but ultimately it's pretty much ran its race, and the aim will be to get it out of there. We can get that out tax-free, stamp duty-free as well. So whilst we've got the opportunity to do that, we thought we will do that, and that'll come out and then go into one of the trusts as well. So we've got a pretty good plan. Yeah, I guess the main thing is, mum and dad, and even the kids that I've spoken to so far, they're all, feeling like there's a bit of progress. Mum and dad are feeling much better about themselves. They can see that there's a plan, and importantly, we're not relying on their wills. They had the most complicated wills. They were trying to basically create a succession plan out of their will, and it was a very complex document that was just going to cause a lot of trouble if that's what we had to rely on. So I think, that's one main key takeaway from all this is that by doing it this way, it does take a lot of pressure off the will. Like, the will's still a very important document, but the family farm succession deed, which is what the next step is once you've got the heads of agreement under control, it really becomes that legal document that takes care of or maps out the plan of how things are going to play out. So, all in all, it's one of those scenarios where within 12 months you've really gone from a situation where the parents were very stressed, didn't know what to do, to a situation where now they've got direction, and I can see that they've become better leaders for the family as well. They're able to make decisions. They're able to explain, to the non-farming children, because there was a bit of the typical question or comment around, such and such staying on the farm, they're going to end up with tens of millions of dollars worth of farmland. What do we get? We only get this, that and the other. But mum and dad were able to explain, well, yeah, that's fine, but realistically, they're taking over the farmland. They're really custodians until the next generation come along. You're getting this, and this. So, the dollar figure doesn't actually really mean a hell of a lot. So it was just really good to see that they could explain that. And actually do it with some authority and confidence. So anyhow, I just thought I'd share that because, this is, there's a lot of information that we put out on social media and just in other ways, but to actually hear firsthand how it actually plays out and see it in practice is probably critical. And I guess what we aim to do is probably just, in the first steps, talk with mum and dad and the leaders or the senior people within the family, and just build that foundation so that they can then work through the succession planning process with a degree of knowledge, confidence, and just be able to lead the family through it can be difficult decisions, but the idea is that these decisions are made for a reason. They're made in the best interest of the entire family, not just individuals. And in time, I think there's respect gained by the parents and the leaders in the family when they can actually do that and lead the family through that. So I just thought I'd share that. Yell out. Look, we'll be doing a lot more in this space. We feel that there's a need to help farming families in that initial stage, or to be able to build a foundation to complete succession planning. I think sometimes we try and delve into jump straight to a solution, where it's probably a process where you need to actually do the groundwork, build the foundation, and then follow it through. So, in this situation, within a year, we've got a really good outcome, and with the assistance of their legal team, financial planning team, we've got a really good outcome, and I think everyone involved just is now focusing on the future rather than what sometimes can be extremely negative, focusing on what's going to happen when mum and dad aren't here, what's in the will, and so forth. So it's just from our perspective, it's just a great outcome, and we feel that it's in this situation particularly, it just helped the family immensely. So if we can help in any way, yell out. We might have a link with this video as well, where you can make contact with us, or if you want to find out more information,